Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is Her Talk Show. My name is Sabrina Victoria, and I am here with Kathi Burns. We are going to be talking all about chaos to cash. So get comfortable as we explore the triumphs and challenges faced by women worldwide. We're going to be offering insights and inspiration to fuel your personal and your professional growth. Let's jump right in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Hello, if you're listening live, welcome. And if you're listening on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can send you some love in the comments. We are here every day delving deep into the realms of health, wealth, and leadership with some of the most brilliant women globally. We have interviewed over 600 women, and today we are adding another one to the list. We have Kathi Burns. CPO is a board certified professional organizer, image consultant, author, and speaker. Her mission for almost 2 decades has been to end overwhelm. Girl, yes, please. Energize and transform lives by removing the muck and creating systems entrepreneurs can stick to. I love that. Kathi was lauded as a successful woman startup business by Good Morning America. And since then, her advice has been featured in Oprah Magazine, Stewart Living, Better Homes and Gardens, Entrepreneurship Magazine, and more. I love this. Welcome.
Thank you. That's a mouthful. Thanks, Sabrina. It's good to see you.
Yes, so good to see you. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to sit and chat with us on the subject of overwhelming chaos, because I think the majority of us sit in a lot of chaos and a lot of overwhelm. Before we jump into all the goodies, I would love to know why this subject. What happened? Why did you decide to delve into this niche?
Yeah, I'll try to be succinct with it's a long backstory, but years ago I was a licensed boat captain and I was delivering boats. And I remember being in the Gulf Stream at night watch, and I was thinking about every single thing that in my apartment back on shore, and none of it meant much. I'm like, I don't need any of this. So I would get back to shore and I would purge. Later, I became a travel writer, and I was living out of a suitcase, traveling 42 weeks a year out of a suitcase. Again, nothing meant anything back in my apartment. So as soon as I get back from the road, I'd purge. So flash forward a few years after that, I met a woman. I've had 6 careers. And at that point, I was in transition trying to figure out what should I do when I grow up, right? That thing, as we all go through that. And I met a woman, and she was also on a year off, and she was on a healing journey. And I got to know her, and we became fast friends. And when I went to her house, it was so full of clutter. I'm like, girlfriend, you cannot heal yourself if you're surrounded by all this stuff. There's no way. And so I started helping her purge. And she goes, there's a job that people actually do that for a living. And I'm like, really? She goes, yeah. And guess what? I was good at it, and I was kind, and I was gentle. And so I jumped right into it, became a board certified professional organizer. And here I am, 20 years later. I was one of the inaugural certified organizers in the world. Now I actually sit on the board exam review committee, help write the questions and whatnot, do metrics. But here's the thing. When you're surrounded by stuff, you can't change. She was on a real big journey for change, and she was kind of stuck. And so what I really do, after I figured out I love change with all these careers, most people are very afraid of change. And I said, oh, okay, I can do something to help people change in a non-invasive way by working on their environment and helping them shift their environment. Then they can shift their life towards what they want. And that was the beginning of it all, a long, long time ago. And obviously, since then, my work has morphed. Everything morphs as we always shift and change. Again, we all change. But that's how it all started way back in the beginning.
Wow, great story. What was the testimonial on that? Was it a success?
It was a huge success. Yeah, she actually was able to set aside her business. She was a homeopathic doctor. She set that one aside. She was able to get clarity and peace in her environment. And yeah, it worked out very nicely for her. And it was interesting because she had a girlfriend who had hired an organizer for years. And she goes, you should talk to my girlfriend who's been using an organizer forever. And so I did an interview with her just to see, what does this girl do for you? What's an organizer do for you? And it ended up that everything that the lady had done for her, I knew I could do in spades because I'd been an entrepreneur and been doing all this stuff all along anyhow. And it was my natural tendency. So flash forward, she became my client. Her husband became my client. And it just snowballed from there.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I know that you talk a lot about visuals. You talk a lot about distraction within the workplace. And I really want to dive into this because I think sometimes we don't put enough emphasis on our workspace and why we could feel that sense of overwhelm even 10 times more because of actually what's going on in and around us. So I'd love for you to speak a little bit about, what our workspace should look like as comparison to what it does, and why having visual distractions is how doesn't help us.
You're jumping right into that dreaded C word, clutter.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Clutter is a distraction that will keep us off task. So think about it this way, Sabrina. Any pile that you have sitting in your life, if all of you are listening, look around your environment, see if you have any piles there. Any pile is going to represent one of three things. You're either indecisive about it, you have no idea what to do with it, so it end up in a pile. You're you know what to do with it, but you're avoiding it. You're going to throw it in a closet, in a bag, and be done with it. Or you're procrastinating. You're just like, I'm going to get to that someday, right? So that is the only reason that you have a pile, is just a lack of decision making. Now, what happens, especially with us women, piles will silently scream at us from afar. Even the pile of the bag in your closet is going to scream at you. Something you have to do, something you have to do. You didn't do this. That's a project. Why didn't you do this? Right? Because we see everything in our environment. So as women, it's so important to have our workspace pristine and clean without unfinished business lying around, because that unfinished business will distract us. Take, for instance, you're on a phone, you're speaking with someone, or you're on a Zoom and you're being present, and then you look down and there is this pile and you're wondering, what is that over there? And then you've lost focus with who you're speaking with, and you've lost being present with that person because you're distractible and you're distracted. So the idea is to have, I always like to say, have 60% of your desk open for business. So have 60% of it with nothing on it, no distractions, no clutter, none of that, and have only the things in your workspace that you need to work. Because here's another thing. If you say you need a ream of paper, or say you need a pencil or whatever, if you get up as a home-based entrepreneur, specifically, you get up to go get something, how long do you think you're gone before you come back? Have a guess?
Let's say 15 minutes.
Ooh, you're close. 18 minutes.
What?
Yeah, because we have the dog, we have the fridge, we have the laundry, we have whatever we have. Go find a bathroom. So, the average US executive, when they get up from their desk, they're gone about 8 minutes. Entrepreneurs, home base, 18 minutes. So you want to have everything in your workspace that you need, not on your desk, but right there in your workspace, so that you don't have to get up and leave and then, end up sitting in the sun somewhere thinking I need to get back to work or walking the dog.
Wow, that is so interesting. So if you're getting up every hour, you're losing over an hour of time.
Yeah. And what happens is that then let's go back to clutter. Okay. So the average entrepreneur wastes 4 hours a week trying to find things that they know that they own, but they cannot find.
Wow.
That's a month, a year wasted. 4 hours a week, a month, a year wasted trying to find things that we know that we own that we cannot find. Now, why can we not find them? Generally, because they're in clutter somewhere. They're in some pile or they're in some file, and we have no idea where it went because it's not organized, right? So, time's the one thing that we can't get back. Time is our most precious commodity. We can't make time. Time is what it is, but we can work on saving time. And saving time comes from eliminating the clutter or the muck that's going to derail you into whatever you were trying to do for the day.
Absolutely. Um, Kelly, 18 minutes. What if you got up to get things 6 to 7 times per day? Yeah, that's what we're saying. Crazy.
Well, and you know what else too, Kelly? Not only do you lose 18 minutes, every time you switch task, there's
Yeah.
13 minutes to get back to it.
Yeah.
So that now you're talking about a half hour,
Yeah.
right? So, because you come back in and you're like, okay, I fed the dog, I watered the bushes, whatever, and they're like, what was I doing? And it's going to be another 13 before you're back on task again.
Yeah.
So, I want that as an easy half hour, Kelly.
Yeah, totally. And I even find that too when I'm switching tasks, like I'm sitting, but I'm going from task to task, like something distracts me. I have to send something really fast, call someone really fast. And then I go back and I'm like, what was I doing?
Right.
There's even been times where like I'm flipping through, I'm like, what was I doing? I have no idea what I was doing. Like it just went away. I'm like, did I finish what I was doing? I don't even know. Was I doing anything?
It happens to all of us. It always happens. And that's why you want to eliminate your distractions and stay on task. And this leads to the point of grouping your tasks together.
Yeah.
So you want to do all your emails at the same time. You want to do all your copywriting at the same time. You want to do all reach out at the same time. You want to group the things together so that you don't have that wasted time switching in between, and that you can stay focused and productive on whatever it is that you're doing at that point in time. And then you're so focused on it that what happens, Sabrina, is you don't say, what was I doing? Because you're like, oh yeah, that was my little chunk of time to do this.
Yeah, it's good. I love that. And then 4 hours per week trying to find stuff. This is the organization that we need for sure. What is the reviews on your side as far as clients and such who do follow your program and get organized? What are the results that a lot of them are seeing?
That's such a good question. And when people ask me that, I think of all these clients just flit through my mind. What happens? The most important thing that happens when you get organized is when I start with working with the client, I set what their goal is. Like, what do they want to achieve through this process? And then we work towards that goal and we visualize that goal being met. I've had a client that was a graphic design client, and she had great company, but she had no life mate. And she's like, I really want to have a life mate. And so we worked together and we organized her business. But whenever I went up to her bedroom, I saw that she had this giant closet stuffed full of clothes, not a single inch of space in it. Her both bedside tables were completely, covered with it. It was just crowded out. It looked beautiful, but there was so much stuff. I said, girlfriend, we have to make room for this guy. We got to make room for this man. So we cleared off 3 feet of space in her closet. We cleared one of the bedside tables we just left open with like a lamp and a picture or something. And then I lost track of her. And then a year and a half later, she resurfaces. She had moved to Colorado because she found a guy. So she got the guy. I had another client who got the job. They got the promotion. I worked with a client that, she was assigned, she is in the science industry, and being in the science industry as a woman, it's a slippery slope as far as your productivity, what you wear, how you present yourself. We worked on upgrading her image a little bit. And again, she had 7 underlings under her, I guess how you would say, in her department. I think a year and a half later, she said, I'm ready for new glasses. And then she just casually said, oh yeah, I have 70 employees now. I'm like, what? You're just going to casually mention this to me? 70 people? So I also have people that have manifested their dream home. They've gotten the home because they cleared as if they were going to move, and then they moved. So, it's kind of magical what you can accomplish when you add space, and you need to add space to make change.
Yeah.
And all of these clients are all about that. Same thing with entrepreneurial, people with entrepreneurs. You want to get more clients, you have to make space for the clients. You have to have room in your schedule to grow your business, right? So on and so forth. So it's just time after time. One of my clients found, people always find money when we get organized, always find money. The client I'm working with right now, we found about $783,000 so far.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, you can get the guy, you can get the car, you can get the house, you can get the promotion, you can get the new clients, you can find the money. It's all about learning how to add space and allowing the stuff to happen for you, right? Opening up the space.
Wow.
For new to enter. You have to have space for new to enter. If you're feeling stuck or unable to move forward, I call it being stuck in the muck of your stuff. That means that you have some blockades and some barriers to your forward momentum. And the easiest place to start is just to start with clutter, whatever that would be, digital files all over, inbox overflowing, space, actual workspace. It goes on and on. Whatever you can clear and whatever you can get rid of that no longer serves you is the way to go to make change.
Wow, that's great. Very, very nice. And I can really visualize this, just in general, when I'm thinking about my own space, when I'm thinking about the overwhelm and the chaos, and the lightness that really comes over me, even just thinking about it. Yeah. So really just imagining what it would be like when it's actually taking place. My desk is always a mess. I clear it once a week, and then literally immediately it's right back to clutter. And I know that I do work better with a clean space, but just getting to that point is sometimes a little more tasky than we would like.
One thing you can do is to keep things vertical. So, as a professional organizer, if anybody who's ever worked with a pro out there, we always say, go vertical, go vertical. There's a reason, because a pile is an undefined thing. Vertical really helps you define and create categories and find things quickly. So for the papers that you have to work with in your life, if you use a vertical stepper, it allows you to see what you need to see. And it doesn't take up that much space. Like I use this one right here, and it allows me to have all my papers that I need right there quickly.
Love it.
It doesn't take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
But they're not piled, they're filed.
I love it.
Filing, not piling.
Yes. Yes. Girl, I'm taking so many notes.
Good. I'm here for you. So any specific situations that any of you have, I'm more than happy to answer and give what I would suggest. And this is the beautiful thing about organizing. For me, I'm an artistic creative organizer, and there's no one way to do anything. So it's all really about the person, and the idea is sustainability. As a board certified professional organizer, my code of ethics is that I must transfer skills. If I don't transfer skills, and if it doesn't stick, I've kind of failed in my job. So that's why I have juice 20 years into my career still, because everyone's different and everyone needs different things and everyone has different goals, and there's a zillion ways to get to the same result. It's all about if the person can implement it and sustain it.
Gorgeous. I'd love to talk a little bit. Well, actually, before we dive into that, what came to mind? Because you said personal questions. I know everybody has a junk drawer. Everybody has a junk drawer. Can you talk to us a little bit on how to keep, because we all organize the junk drawer at some point, but it kind of becomes a junk drawer again. What are a little tip on how to keep it organized?
Oh my gosh. Well, when people say, where do I start? I always say, do not start with your junk drawer. Junk
Okay.
drawer is the hardest thing in the whole world to organize because it's so random.
Yeah.
So don't start with your junk drawer if you want to get organized. However, if you do want to organize your junk drawer, please have dividers set up. Please kind of have an agreement with yourself about what deserves to be in your junk drawer. For my life, I'll just tell you what's in my junk drawer because we all have to have one. I have my eyeglasses, toolkit. I have a screwdriver and a wrench. I have a lighter. I have rubber bands. I have hair ties. So there, you have to cut, and then there's a compartment for each one. I have a letter opener. So there's things that the tools that you kind of need to grab quickly and you don't want to go out to the garage to get a screwdriver or whatever. That's the kind of stuff I have in my junk drawer. So again, when you organize anything, it's an agreement with yourself about what should be in there. And that's the beauty of it. Like you say, well, I'd never use a screwdriver or a hammer, then don't put it in your junk drawer. But if you find yourself always trying to grab the same thing, like where is that rubber band, or where can I find a hair tie? Just, have something there that's handy dandy right in your junk drawer. I don't know if that answered your question, but never start with, if you're going to start organizing, start with your sock drawer. That's like the easiest place to learn how to let go. Everybody, when people start organizing, I always say that your letting go muscles are atrophied. You haven't been using your letting go muscles. And then once they learn how to let go, then they become really powerful. And they're like, I can get rid of that. I can get rid of that. I don't need any of that. Right. Because you realize, just as you said, even thinking about it, Sabrina, you get jazzed up, even thinking about the space that you're going to get at the end of it all. And once the space does show up, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I'd love to talk a little bit, as we're kind of coming to the end here, a little bit about being organized online with our systems, within our businesses, running the back end or the background of our business. What are some things that you recommend? What are some processes that you follow?
Okay. Well, the number one thing is stop chasing squirrels. And as entrepreneurs, this is what we do. Did you know that 41% of the nuts that squirrels bury, they lose?
Yes, I did know that, but most people don't know that.
Well,
Yes.
we are 80-20, girlfriend. Squirrels have it up on us. 80% of what we do means nothing to our business. 20% is what's going to move the needle for us. And the reason being is because we are professional squirrel chasers. As artists, as creative entrepreneurs, we're like, what about that database? What about that contact program? What about that lead magnet? What about that? What about that? What about that online program, right? And we implement stuff, and they're half-baked systems, right? So, and hey, I'm reforming as a squirrel chaser because I am the quickest one to start some new system. But you can't do it because what happens, and you have multiple systems competing with each other in the background, and you're not sure what's working and what's not. So the number one challenge that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs is their database and their contacts. Their contacts are randomized all throughout. They have contacts in their phone that don't talk to their computer, that don't talk to their database for emails, and they're not grouped together. And you have to have like with like back to that, right? We're organizing 101, put like with like. You need all your contacts to be in one place, and you need them to talk to each other because you need to see what happened with each person for a second, third. So bare minimum, you want all of your contacts to be in one holding zone. And from then you can disperse out, say, if you're going to send them emails or whatnot with a different capacity. But, I put every single one of my contacts is in Google Contacts. And from there, I can offshoot it if there's specific things that need to happen with each group, and they're categorized, so I know, who are the book buyers, who are the whatever, right? Who are the customers? Who are the clients? And so you have to have them categorized, and they need to be all in one place. And that's what I see as far as a system competing in the background against each other. Because many of my clients that have iPhones, they're using address book, but then, they're using Google Contacts, and then they're not even
linked. Yeah.
Same thing with emails. They have like 15 emails, and they have to go into, one of my clients right now has 4 different places she has to go to see her emails.
Wow.
Logging in, logging out, logging in, logging out to get to all of her different email addresses. And my opinion and what I do is I put all my emails into one bucket. And it seems overwhelming to start, but for me, it works. But again, I don't think there's any one way to do anything. And it's really about the client. And it's really about, is this going to work? Like, Sabrina, is this going to work for you if everything's right here? Can you think that way? Can you deal with all your emails going into one funnel? That type of thing. If yes, do it. If no, let's create a hybrid of an idea behind what will work for you. The main thing is to have systems that stick with you, that you can use, that are kind of like no-brainers in your brain because it's the way you think.
Totally. Yeah. You said 80-20 rule. Can you dive into that? I loved that.
I think it's the Pareto principle. For those of you who've probably heard it. And everywhere I look, it's so true. Everywhere. 80% of the stuff we do is irrelevant. Only 20% moves the needle. 80% of the calls that we make are going to account to nothing. 20% are going to be the gold. 80% of the time we spend is going to be time not effective. 20% will be effective. 80% of the clothes in our closet we don't wear. 20% we wear. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So if you want to, become more effective, at least try to go to 25% effectiveness. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to be 100% effective, but we can at least try to beat the squirrels. They're 41% effective, right? At least we can kind of climb up to that branch and try to be more effective with less distractions. And, 41% of our to-do lists never get done. And this is a big problem because we beat ourselves up all the time, especially as women. We're always beating ourselves up going, I can never get my list done. My list is always going, never get my list done. Never. Well, give yourself grace to know that 41% never gets done. That's like a statistic. So that's kind of like the inverse of the 80-20, but it's a similar theme in the sense that you can't expect that everything that you feel is a priority is a priority. And that's why it pays time. It pays to take time to plan a little bit about and strategize on what's going to be my next step, what's going to make the most sense, what's going to be that 20% that's actually going to move the needle and turn my chaos into cash, right? How am I going to make more money? What's that 20% of a thing that I can do to make more money? And the irony of it is that generally that's the stuff we don't want to do. We want to do the 80. The 80 is easy. Let's picking things off the tree. I can do that again. It's just busyness. It's what I call being stuck in busyness. You're not getting down to business. You're just busy. And I was busy for so many years. I just thought I was so effective, and I wasn't effective at all. Right? I was not effective because I was just doing busy stuff, stupid little menial, easy tasks to do, and not really hitting the needle on what was the important stuff.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I see it all the time with individuals who are constantly busy, but none of the tasks that they're doing are actually bringing more customers, more clients, or more money into their business. And they're spending so much time overwhelmed with the 80%.
Yeah.
And they're not touching that little itty bitty 20% that's going to make a difference in the success of their business.
The 20% requires great thought. The 20% requires planning. The 20% requires strategy, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And as creative entrepreneurs, we don't necessarily like to do that kind of stuff. I mean,
that's the boring stuff.
Yeah, we want to do our business because we're passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
And that's not about getting organized.
Yeah.
But when you're organized, you can actually do what you want to do. That's the whole point right there. It's like my clients say, I don't want to get organized. I'm going to be organized. It's like, okay, so give me an hour and I'll give you 10 back. You give me 1 hour to get organized, you're going to get 10 back in return.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I have found that in general, I keep my desk clean. I don't keep a junk drawer. Like, I am very organized for areas. And that is one of the things that I have found is my desk is a mess, but um, I have found that the time that I have saved looking for things, because I know exactly where they are. I put them back exactly where they belong. And there's times when I actually, while I'm going to fetch it and it's there, I actually like give myself a silent little like, ah, yes, look at how organized we be.
Yeah.
Versus, yeah, scouring, looking, scuffling through all the stuff, trying to find the thing. And then half the time you don't even remember what you're looking for halfway through.
Right, because you're derailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. I had a client text me just yesterday going, I can't. And she texted me, I found the document without even having to ask you, Kath. I can't believe it. I found it in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
My nephew wanted it. She was all pleased and proud. But it
Right.
feels good. It feels good to know where your stuff is and to stop wasting time, because time you can't make more of.
Yeah.
Time is time.
Yeah.
So any time lost can't be regained.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been absolutely insightful. I've taken a ton of notes. We have a ton of people watching live. We see you. Thank you so much for being here. Kathi, I would love for you to, as we roll up here, we close up here, to tell the audience exactly who you help, who should be reaching out to you.
Women entrepreneurs who feel overwhelmed, stuck, disorganized, unable to see their way forward to making more money. That's my jam. I've been a solopreneur for, God, I don't know, a long time. 3 decades. And so I get it. And I'm an artistic creative, so I get it. And the reason that we have businesses is because we love to create. So the creative artistic woman entrepreneur is my perfect client. I help you see your way forward and become an objective observer to you, to see things that you can't see about yourself. And coaches hire masters. I have a coach. I have a couple of coaches. We hire people to help us do things that we can't see ourselves, and that's what it comes to being masterful. So any of you who are feeling overwhelmed or underserved or underpaid or just flat out exhausted and can't see your way clear, you are people that I can help. We'll get you some clarity, add some space to your life, help you get organized and energized so you can make money. That's why we're in business. Well, I mean, to follow our passion, of course, but the money doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Where can people find you? Website and social media. Where do you hang out?
I hang out on Facebook, and it's Professional Organizer. Facebook Professional Organizer. I also have a YouTube channel that's Organized and Energized, and I have zillions of videos and tutorials and all sorts of stuff there. My website is organizedandenergized.com, and on there you can get a free productivity checklist, I created this checklist. It has, I think, 8 different techniques. I tried to see what are the techniques that my clients have most liked to use. I've written all of them down, and I know that you're never going to implement all of them, but if you download the checklist, you'll find one that you really resonate with. And I tell you, if you implement even one of those things to become more productive, you'll end up making more money. So that's a free gift for all of you. And that's at organizedandenergized.com.
Awesome. And then your Facebook is Professional Organizer, like they just search Professional Organizer?
Yeah, Professional Organizer.
I love it. Well, this has been such a delight. I so appreciate all of the wonderful information that you shared with us today. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
I'd say, follow your heart's desire and clear the way to make change.
Mm,
Change happens every single day of your life. So you might as well make change on the way that you want to make change. And the easiest way to change is to have more clarity, which is more space in your life. Just add space, get clear, remove the muck that makes you stuck. And, I wish you huge success, because that's what we're all about, is just to have fun following our purpose. That's why we have businesses.
yeah.
And you can really be on purpose when you're not distracted by clutter and other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Kathi, for sharing your wisdom, inspiring us. To those of you listening still all the way to the end, whether it was live or on the replay, we appreciate it. Make sure you follow, like, and share this video. And once again, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift each other every step of the way by having conversations just like this one. The link is also in the description below. We would love to have you join us. Until